Monet. Yeah, well, he sold, before you bought it, Monet must have sold to Steve Meesick up there, right? Steve Meesick bought their land on the ridge quite a bit, and even over on the Liga Valley, a little corner. Monet sold that. Leanne came the same year that we moved over here, I think, 91, one of them two. Oh, I even had to wash her. You ain't riding on the four-wheeler with me. In the winter time, when if I'm working in the basement or something, she comes in for a little couple-hour visit. Then she looks like chasing your girlfriend home. She looks like I gotta go out, you know. She wants to stay in. She got a nice warm dress. I gotta go out. You got a warm bed in the garage. Yeah. Did you get my video on your fencer? What one you were supposed to get?
We went and ordered one.
We ordered one? All right. You're ready for the deer.
See the deer?
The deer. It's got the wild boar and then that wire. Get that poly wire and a few spools. Put your T-posts in there and you should be all good.
I found some really nice fiberglass.
Yeah, they give you slivers. Ah, but you can run it on there.
Did you hear that? I'm not putting them in.
Yeah, or you got, is there coating they can put on it? Oh, a couple years old, but yeah.
Oh, where did you get these? I just saw a mountain of them in Mondovi.
Yeah.
At that auction?
Yeah, he sells them there. Dad bought a few from him. Like $325 a piece.
It's substantial.
Oh, you're gonna move them around. I would never build another corral again fixed. I would just buy all those. Yeah, you must have a pile of them for that sale.
Yeah, we've got like 20 ourselves, and then we just get them
from everybody else.
Friends.
Oh, yeah, I got some if you run out. And farmed out the row crops, get away from the edge of the woods and the really steep land, because that really should be kind of in some forages up there anyway. It's kind of a real light, sandy, loam soil like the wash. So it was corn stalks all on that north side, and I seeded that down last year. It was a mix. I'm still perfecting, but it was like every grass we know of, orchard, little fescue, probably about 4 different grass species. And I've been working on a clover mix of red, Elsic, ladino, some alfalfa, and some yellow sweet clover in there because I'm a beekeeper. I try to pasture everything, get a little bit out of everything. And that, boy, it really looked sad last year in the drought. And then about this time last year, it's perked up and started coming. Now this year it just looked beautiful. Also, I had 4 tons of chicken litter because we have broiler chickens and we spread chicken litter on there. But as you see, if you look where that apple tree is, though, you see there the little grass comes down maybe 30 feet. That Wade had was still, like, I would call it native. It was Timothy, unbroke. It was just plain too damn steep to even drive there with a spreader. So I put the lower fence here is poly wire that will roll up at the end of the year. And then we just let the cattle in the whole works to glean it off when the crops are off. And then we moved one fence. There's a Dugway road, used to be an old town road up there right in the shade, runs up. And so we moved the fence up there because it's just, I like to work on the level where you can just drive along there and check everything, make it easy for yourself. The water, we break that section into 2 pieces, so way back there they can water, and then about in the middle here we run a fence down and break it. And then I get water from Leanne's house. I just laid a poly pipe on top about, there's a couple trees in the shade right there. And they drink here, and then there's 2 dams on this hill, like this little, what do we call that, Leanne? The park now? That's the Forest Service land there. I gotta have my grazing permit to go through there. There's 2 dams in there, and it's usually about 3 days, and we're done and we're out of there. So they drink out of those 2 dams, and then we go around by the silo up along the road, and I just move the tank over there and connect and run off of Leanne's well, and that's usually about 3-4 days a week, depending on what we have there, and then we move home. And then on this side, we come into the system. There was some cattle if you came down the valley, but where the high line wires are, that's the line fence between Ellis and Bowman. So that section, I have a On the very top of the point, I got a high tensile wire that runs along, and then it goes on the left-hand side of that point up to the ridge. And then I cross fence it. You can kind of see there's a little old tall grass between these two posts. And sometimes I go where that dead tree is. I make like 3 sections out of there. And so at the house, I'll have to show you when we get back, I have a hydrant, and we buried a plastic pipe, 1.25 inch, black pipe with that little garden tractor about 6 inches across, and then every so far, wherever, if it worked out, I had to make a splice. They were like 500-foot rolls where I wanted. We just pulled the pipe up and then stopped and put it back down and put water faucets in there. So there's like 3 watering spots on that section there. And then we went over there where that highline pole is, and that got really steep. We got around it, and then we ran out of pipe and we stopped there. Like where that last highline pole is that you can see there.
How deep is your well, Jim?
I think it's a 60-foot well. So it's roughly like 900, I forgot my, 900 feet at the well, and then back here it was 1,000 and something feet. So there's a really good book by Jim Garish. Anybody wants, I'll see if I can find it, but it really lays that out right for getting. It's when you bury the pipe. If you double the size of the pipe, you quadruple the flow of water, I think is how it is. And every 2.5 feet of rise or fall, you lose a PSI of pressure or something. There are some guidelines there. Caleb and I used our phones to check the elevation. Later on, the system did not work as anticipated. And we figured it was a bad reading with the phone. So we pulled the pipe up and moved it because we only had it in this deep. I thought, oh, if it's only 10 feet, that's all we need. And we moved it over there and it's on top of the ground, but that still didn't quite help. So then I bought a little booster pump at Menards, one of them constant flow ones. That works, but it doesn't turn on and shut off as it should. I kind of think it might be defective. But the company did answer the phone when I called. It was a real live human that spoke English. I was really impressed. So now I just got some water tanks, and we just turn on in the morning for an hour or two. And Amy usually kind of watches because she says if it gets up to 80, she knows the tanks are full. If it runs at 60, they're still drinking. An idea I think next year is just put bigger tanks and then just fill them twice a day.
How big are the tanks now?
I probably got 500 gallons of water there now.
All right.
But if I bring that big herd of cows and calves through, that ain't going to be enough. You really got to watch it. So I'll probably bring another one and just throw there. But if you put that big pipe, and you're on top of the hill, Howard, so this is going to be really easy running water.
but my well is 420.
That don't matter. That don't matter. And so you're on top. It's easy. So pumping on the level, that's easy. Now John Hovey kind of had the same numbers at his walk, and he can do it. And he and I discussed, I said, I got a pinch point. I'm 3/4 over to my hydrant. Are you right at the tank at 1.25 inches? But he said he had kind of the same system I had him. So I'm still thinking how he could get it wherever his footage that other day.
Now, before we fire up, you mentioned faucets. Do you use quick couplers or actually?
Well, we went to Menards, and the best deal, because you can buy a faucet, and then it restricts you down to like 1/2 inch orifice in there. Like, I went through all this work. I want the big volume coming there, at least the 3/4 because I have to float it. And we found water heater drains are full 3/4. They're like $9 a piece. And they just we'll see them when we get over there. We're gonna go look at the water where it's level, but I'll show you what happens. The raccoons turn them on.
Oh. How deep did you put
The pipe? It's anywhere from 10 inches to 4 inches.
We're up to 12 and some.
12 in some spots. We started, it was easy going and burying the pipe in the soybean stubble in the valley. And then we got over here and we were going to go up a hill, so Caleb went down with the garden tractor and pre-ripped it. But we couldn't make it back up, so we just hitched another tractor in front, which I'll get you the video. We just dragged Amy across. She was steering it, and I rolled the pipe in, and Caleb pulled her back. So I got a video.
Sometimes it's better you just don't know.
When we bought this farm back in 1990, there was a big ditch going down the
That's
middle
right.
here that the guys used for a deer hunting blind. It was so deep you could stand in it. It
Yep.
was up to here. We had that smoothed out. We had, I think, 7 ponds we have now.
You got some more back here, some on the side. Yes,
And then about 3-4 years ago, we had that. The way at the bottom, it's tiled a little bit because there's a spring in there that.
And then last year, was it last year Nick fixed the ditch, the last piece?
Yeah.
Your lifetime, a lifetime accomplishment. You definitely get an award for conservation because you did that all on yourselves. Was there any from the NR? No government money involved there. You can do it yourself. All you need is a Nick Bramer, and he'll clean that out.
Nick does good work.
So, all right. Any other questions here? We'll go back to our farther spot. Combine tracks. We're going to cover crop to check out the turnips. So these turnips, we planted them on August 12th, about a week after we took the rye off, because I sprayed to get rid of there's always some lingering Canadian thistles on this farm, and the Roundup, best way to get rid of those in between. So I think
Have you grazed on turnips before?
yes.
This is our best result, though.
Now this is a pretty good stand. We've done turnips years ago.
This stand, this is probably
Just a word of caution to the group. If you're introducing a new feed, such
Yeah.
as turnips, the first time the cattle go through them, they're going to be a little bit leery unless they're really hungry going in, because it's a new feed. And then doesn't take them long to figure it out, and then down the hatch it goes.
Well, they'll be pretty loose because there isn't much lignin in these. But they will go take the tops, and if they pull up a bulb, those sizes there are just excellent. They'll just chew those right up and eat them. And if they're real big bulbs later and they can't get them out, I've seen where they just chew the top off them.
I'm not familiar with turnip.
Oh, you want to taste it?
Yeah, you can just bite right into it.
People food too, correct? Yep.
Yeah.
It's great in soups and stews and roasts.
Yeah, I roast them. We should have brought some salt with us.
You're like them.
And there is 2 prices for turnips.
Turnip.
At D&D, you can pay $6.99, but if you're feeding them for cattle, then they're only $3.99. Adam says, I don't think I should charge you that high price over there. I said, no, they're for cattle. The deer hunters have to pay more for them. Ask for the cattle rate in there.
How many tons of chicken manure did you put?
Oh, we shot 4 tons of chicken manure on here maybe 3 weeks ago, huh? Yeah. And we've had 1 good rain on them probably since. So,
So after the season, you put them
yeah,
on.
drove right on here somewhere.
Now, do you have layers or
Broilers.
broilers? So
I got the manure analysis on my phone if you want to see it.
is it pretty high test?
It's basically about 25 pounds of N per ton, 19 phosphorus, 35 potassium, and 7 pounds of sulfur.
Okay.
All available, we'll say, over 2 years. So, yeah, this is a good stand. I'll just move that fence down a little, give them just a little piece to get started, and then we'll let them go. When the crops are off, we'll let them in here. You find any more good eaters, Joe?
There's actually quite a few good bulbs.
They're starting to grow the bulbs. It takes a while. First you get all the tops, and then the bulbs start growing. So, here's my clover. Here's a little open spot, so I got a little clover to show up.
You're not gonna move those posts. You'll just put
Oh,
the posts down there or what?
Yeah. Caleb's gonna plant rye in here, and then I'll just take that fence and go around and make a solar one.
So you
And
will move it down.
yeah, I leave those the steel ones here, but that little post there, see that curly? That's the kind to get.
That's the is that what you're gonna put here then?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just put some of them big. I use those because I ran out of stuff. Leanne had a big pile of T-posts.
And what do you have for tension then to keep that?
That's just, you just pull the spool up tight. Oh, we'll find you one here. We'll give you a lesson in fencing. Yeah, there's a few different styles. Everybody's got their preference. But the fencer at home, And Amy's horse barn charges this, and I can get all the way over to that far side, that section. I can hold about 5,000 volts on it.
So this goes all the way around.
I go all the way around. We took all the pockets in the shady country and we made it grass. And not put your corn there because you know how that is. You don't get anything out of that. And they go in the woods. That was another fence. The Leanne's farm, I finally get to use the other side of the line fence, so I didn't have to make fence on one side. It's working, isn't it? Yes, they've been in there a little bit on the edges. I always like to get the cattle along the edge of the woods because they always beat down all the burdocks in June. They'll eat a burdock in June. And they're kind of working on the buckthorn. Yearling cattle like to go in that woods better than old cows. They're lazy. If it's good eating here, they ain't going in there. But yearlings will run up in the woods more and work that down. So,
Now, you anticipate grazing across your turnips?
depending when we get here, how late. Otherwise, we might just open the gate and I'll give them a little section to tease them in there. Because there's going to be a fence below this, so I can work them across. But they're going to...
Any idea about when you're thinking?
Oh, November. I'm going to try, I got to try to get, I got spots I got to get before the water freezes. There's a dam back there that I can use to get by, and then there's that water by Leanne there they can get to. So, but if they're eating this, they don't need much water. They'll hardly go for anything. It's going to be water coming out the back there near. So, anyway, all right. This is actually a pretty good spot to look at the mix here. Since we're up here. You pick your best spot where your best seating looks, you know? So where's Howard? Here, Howard. So if you have one of these with this, and you're driving your four-wheeler and you don't want to get off and open the gate, you just always push it down with this. That's insulated. You can do all your work off a machine. The wire's strung, you can hook it up there, you can step that in. You never have to get off your UTV if you're good. So if you want to drive across the fence, you just step that down in 2 spots and drive across. That's all.
No, I just need a four-wheeler.
Well, you're gonna have to have a UTV. If you're gonna be grazing, that's the most. So this is what we.
Just start the biggest one right off.
Yeah, I get the biggest one. I always like to get orchard grass. That's the biggest yielder always. And if you got some fescue, and I think I just read something where it had the top 3 yielding grasses in Wisconsin. Orchard grass is one. I think meadow fescue. Pick another one. Timothy never seems to do. Hard to get going. And so quack grass is a good one if you can find. There's some native quack in here. Yeah, we got some up there. Yeah, quack would be a good one. And here's I think here, yeah, fox yellow. This is a fescue. You know, that's that shiny leaf. That's a good one in the fall. Alfalfa isn't too bad. I'd put some in there. Once you got your cattle kind of adapted to that, I had more red clover, but it bloomed on me on the second time in 2 years, you know, and then it's gone. There's like 3 different grasses. Could be
Tall fescue or
tall. That one there is tall.
Yeah.
Little hard one. And so
Not meadow.
I try to get like 3 grasses and one of every little legume you can find. Elsic, ladino, mix them all together. I haven't quite got the proportions. Or every year, you know, you write down the settings of the drill, but the next year you got a different idea and it's a different thing, you know.
Well, it depends on what the weather is. The grass will
Yeah.
come on a wet year.
Oh, the first time it was, last year looked tough. Like, oh man.
Italian raygrass.
I had that in here when I seeded.
Okay.
I think I put some annual or a perennial one. That shows up right away, and that'll reseed if it goes to seed for you again over and over. But so.
You don't have any problems with
Yeah, no, I ease them into it, and they're always in enough of it through their rotations. They're kind of used to it. I did just give them a little half when I came in the back there one night to get going again, but.
So how do you manage your rotation? Like how?
I try to get across everything 4 times.
Okay.
So it's about a 30-day rest.
Okay. How often are you moving them?
Anywhere from 3 days to 5 days.
Okay.
You know, it all depends. Water and
Is it all paddock? Like there's no paddock.
Well, there is. We're gonna see that waterway there, and I got a water tank up there. We'll turn around there, but I'll split that. You know.
Oh, okay.
I'm always a little short on materials, so I'm always moving stuff around. Besides these big fences, they stay all year. It's half-mile spool, but
We
I'll
just don't
split.
have square paddocks.
No, nothing square.
There's nothing
Yeah.
square here.
Boy, if you had a flat piece of land.
It's like, do you go up and over the ridge?
Oh yeah, up and over some of that stuff, yeah. Cows don't like to go up and over. They like to follow the contours. So, so from there, then we'll split it, cut it off there, and we'll make 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5, 6, 7, 8. We get like 8 different cuts out of this. About 44 acres or something, I think. So, planted last fall.
And combine,
Combine.
beginning of August. A couple days later, you came in and planted.
About a week later, I planted that.
Camera makes me nervous.
Did you leave the straw out here?
No, we
Is that a rule?
4 bales an
Okay.
acre.
Always got to check.
And farm it out to row crops. Get away from the edge of the woods and the really steep land, because that really should. So, but these fill fast, Howard, because this is the flat. This is 1 inch line buried in here.
Okay.
That's so.
So 1 inch, but there's 3/4.
This is 3/4, yeah. So I made everything over to a garden hose, and that's just the water heater drain. And the raccoons like to turn those for me.
Play around with them.
Yeah, I had all the little fingerprints on top of there.
There's a little moisture in there.
Yeah, a little moisture. Day I don't carry my pliers, you need it to tighten that up, but a little twist in the hose. And so I got one more water tank around the corner over there. That's an old anhydrous tank. If you can find anhydrous, the old anhydrous applicator tanks, you know, the side dressing tanks, those make good water tanks. So perimeter fence, we just use that 12 gauge high tensile. And so you need one of these.
Okay.
Just tells you how many volts you have. 6.9, and there's a 8.5 amp short that way from the fencers back there where we crossed the creek. Somewhere down there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that's
is it the
mostly
grass
grass.
and
Could be that.
Yeah.
Touching the grass. If you see 30 on there, you got it hitting a post. That saves you a lot of walking around.
All right.
If they could just make your phone do that so you don't have to carry this, but don't try it.
Then I have to carry
Some-
my phone.
Yeah, I'm
Carry my phone.
So that saves you a lot of walking. You prefer not to have the electricity right there by the water, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you can make steel or those other tanks, but they always got to mess around with it.
Bulletproof of it. But
Yeah. Even though the idea is they're going to come kind of individually and drink because it's close, we're going to stand here, you know. And if you get one little wet spot, somebody's going to stand on it. It's just guaranteed. So, underground. Before I added above ground, there's some remnants of it here and there. Every time I go back, I bring a piece in for the brush pile. So we just drove along the edge there, and where we wanted to make a tank, we just raised that little garden tractor and just stick in there and cut the fitting. I would put the fittings together on the pipe before I buried it the next time, because when you make that little, because we came up, left it open and started again, you got that little rainbow. Oh, it's not hard. I got one that's leaking yet. Figure two clamps on each connection, barb fittings. And so, then there's another leak. That's in my. See, Howard, how easy it is to get a leak? Usually never leaks by a rubber hose.
right.
Where's Larry? He usually walks around with that little breaker bar and a 5/16 to tighten it up. So, but the idea is when we're done, we go across the creek. You'll see it hanging above that pipe there from a hydrant down here, and then just we're gonna blow out. If we fence, we just kind of cut it here, and then we'll go and cut it, you know, up the high tensile is just inside the shade there, the woods. And there's a 1/4 mile spool makes it down here. Nah, there's only one Gallagher. So these you can usually get for 20 bucks from somebody. They're sitting in their pasture. Nobody uses them anymore. But I just make a hole here and a hole here, and then this is protected. And then it seems like you can just screw through that plastic with wood, and they don't leak. You know, it doesn't make any leaks. Kind of seals itself up. And so, but that's the valve I like. You just put that on your regular little giant. And so this water, I forgot to turn it on. It would be running when we got here. So like twice a day, I'd run that pump at home, way at our buildings, and pump the water all the way back here. And there's a dam back there. I used that a little the first year, but then the cows knocked the pipe off and we siphoned the whole dam. It was gone one night. So I just pump it back here. So they go way back at the little finger of land along the side of that ditch. And I got the fence around there and then here, so they get to graze here, and then they go that way, halfway, and drink, and then up to land where we started from. Oh, briar. This is the spot where we gotta check our microbes. We'll go look over there in the orchard. Over there used to be corn. We're gonna get an official microbe dig. Joel?
We're digging?
Briar's gonna shovels on the back of the tractor there. Hey, we gotta also know here. See, I got some little young guys started here from seed. Oh yeah. Naturally coming back. I got my new little clovers in there.
There's life.
There's life in there.
We need a little more weight. Well, we're not going to go down all 36. Yeah, you can do a good soil profile with this shovel.
Oh, this is what you gotta have on this side of the hill. You can't use that. Dover you can get by with a square spade, but in Danuser Valley you gotta have a tile spade. We got one wormhole. So Wade would have plowed a lot because it used to be organic, and I say the way that's mixed like that, somebody plowed here. You got two different colors so close together. There's a lot of sand in there, isn't there?
This was corn 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah. He kind of no-tilled. Oh, yeah.
See residue of them.
Well,
That's
you
what
know,
causes your soil glue and everything else here.
you,
It's amazing to watch. Yep.
and then you see
I know last year where that, in another valley, I had the tank where we, in the corner where we looked at the turnips, and the cattle had that all beat down like in August when it was as dry as it could be. Those worms would come up and the castings would be wet right around there, you know, because it was kind of bare dirt there. Everything else was parched.
so, you know, think
One worm.
Pretty dry.
All the way.
that's the reason
Next year. So pearl millet won't get any prussic acid, and we get stopped to get the hole. So what we did here is this is where we wintered the cows. They had this pretty well beat up in the middle here, and it was so dry. Caleb just came out here with the tractor and the blade and, you know, filled up all the ruts and the little feeding circles, and like, oh, this is great. And then we, up on last few years, I've always Canadian thistles and burdocks, and I always sprayed it, and like, as soon as you use graze on, you lose your legumes, and it's just kind of a dead pasture. So I killed the whole thing with Roundup, and I think it was right around Memorial Weekend.
I put pen pack on it too.
Oh, I always spread manure on it too. we put pearl millet in, whatever, 30 pounds or whatever they said, and it kind of looked like I got a third of a stand. But this section here we grazed 3 times. And then I had a real poor stand, so later on, about the second week in June, it came back and planted some kind of sorghum sedan from Albert Lee. And that kind of really perked up and looked good. That's a little further up, you can see it heading there. And I know as you can tell the difference between the two of you. Run your finger on the leaf and pull down. The millet has little barbs that'll catch on the edge of your finger, but sorghum sedan is nice, smooth leaf. And then the yellow foxtail was a good year for it, but so this is 3 grazes on this. But what would you say, half a stand, third of a stand? That should be a lot thicker.
Yeah, this was a tough year. This
I
year
think
didn't go great.
I think about the first week of June would be about the time to seed it. Back there's the feeding equipment, all those feed wagons. Caleb hooks them together in doubles, and we try to do every other day. Bring one, takes about 4 wagons. Because I don't wean the calves until around Christmas or right after. So they get to learn to eat silage with their mom here. It takes a lot of feeders. And then after, I really like to be out of silage like first week of March or right before the mud comes. Be done with silage and then just use round bales because you can just roll them down the hill. So what we'll probably do here next spring is come back, and there's still thistles in here. I'm gonna kill them with Roundup and then seed some of that clover grass mix. Seed the second of, I think it was so wet in June.
Yep.
But I had a little video of it, but it looked just like mini corn plants, you know? Yeah. It looked real nice. A lot of leaves. It's a brown midrib thing, but the sorghum sedan seed is like $30, and this stuff was $60, I think, or something. But there's quite a bit of difference. But because you kind of look at the timing, like Mary says, we planted it too early.
Yep.
So if you have,
didn't plant till June.
so if you have rye and you're going to chop that to get any good feed value by the 15th, it's too early to plant this right after, you know? So you got a little spot there, like 3 weeks that you don't grow anything.
Right.
And I listened to a guy on that one podcast, Herd Quitter in Iowa. So he did peas and oats and chopped the oats that real early before they headed, you know how they hard to get. Did that early, you know, and then he came back. So that covered that spot. And so you can kind of see a little darker green. I know we had feed wagons up there. We just kind of try to get up there where you never had manure before. Years ago they used to be pasture, and then when they dairy farmed here, they've cropped it, and they're like, I'm sick of driving on the hills. So.
And it's, if you can just roll them down.
Yeah, I got the roller, and we take one on the roller, one on the bucket, and down the hill they go, and everybody gets fed at once.
Yes.
And everybody can eat at once. I kind of like that. And there's no mud. You'd take all them hay feeders, you know, you'd have to have like 5 hay feeders to get through there.
Absolutely.
And so that's the sorghum sedan story. So I think I'd try it again. Kind of a way to rotate a pasture out without going to corn.
It's an annual, right?
We
Yeah, the
did
annual, yeah.
millet one year, didn't we? Made those big square bales.
Yeah, it's an annual.
Yeah, it looked just, when it was that one size, it was just like little corn plants. Real nice, leafy that first time. I let the...
Sedans do a lot like that, Pipers.
Yeah, well, that's millet there. There's got to be one around here if you look at the head out. This is the millet.
I know I had that one that...
Howard had one. Here's one. This might be some of your Piper, though, because there was a little bit of that left in the box. That might be Piper down here. That looks just like shatter cane. You know?
That's the same thing, yeah.
I think it's the same thing. Oh, it'll just kind of freeze and look like a big brown corn plant there, standing and dry out. So I listened to the podcast, a guy in Iowa said he just lets it stand there and then windrows it after the ground freezes and then swath grazes it. And he said he got, if you just let him out in the field, he got 40%.
You guys are socked in with fog, and we're just
Got a
blue
little
skies.
fog. I take the 4-wheeler up to those chicken barns or the UTV. I just realized that if I go this way up to the coop through the woods or the other way with the dog way, it's the same. 1.4 miles.
I leave for the summer, everybody, and I leave my dad to combine the rock. I come back through my
And the round bales rolled down through the field. I had a real bad day one day. I only had 3 straw bales left. I should have had my uncle just keep hauling them with the tandem truck because he bought some of that. Well, I had the wagon here. I put them on there. And well, they're going to roll off when I go down the hill by Leanne, by those sheds. I put a strap on them. And I backed up, I turned around, and the one rolled off the end, and then the other 2 got loose because he wasn't there, and the 3 rolled off the back again. Yeah. We've had them all through fields and everywhere. I even had one where Roger Sukla made square bales, and for 2 years in a row, he dropped the bale and it rolled down the hill into the woods. There's 2 in a row there. Leanne, tell them what Leanne, we have mountain lions. First mountain lion shot in the state in this township just over the hill over there.
You got it all here.
We got everything, but grizzlies. They ain't here yet. Yes, they're here. We got that. We got everything here. Bears, there's a bear over there. I'm sure it's eating Leanne's apple. She's been feeding that bear. About a week later, I planted that.
Did you leave the straw out here?
No, we baled up the
Baled
straw.
it.
4 bales an acre of straw.
For bedding.
For bedding, yep. Real nice, clean straw.
Yes.
Yeah.
They'll love you for that.
And so then we, I think in a week I had a little volunteer rye and some weeds, and I sprayed that with a Roundup, you know, to make her brown, and then planted the turnips. I planted turnips later. Sometimes we used to grow malting barley for New Glarus, and boy, if you get after like August 20th, you might as well just kind of save your seed. Don't skip the turnips. It's just not enough. Days get too short, too fast. You got to be that first week of August, and you actually get them to kind of look like that. All right, we ready?
Right.
Power's off, Nancy.
Days are getting shorter.
Oh yeah, we're half and half, I think, already. Get enough turnips?
Well, we'll be going right by.
Oh, or the soybeans, a whole protein mix.
Yes.
Those are GMO. May make you do weird things.
And we all talk.
They're GMO.
Well, now they don't need the roof.
They just saw the last name and they knew. Oh, you're not American.
Oh.
Everybody goes microbes.
Somebody dumps them in the creek.
We lay it out ahead of time. Miles full.
Do you need Tom? How long of a drive was it for you?
Go get a snack. That's kind of my corridor to get through there. These guys blow up like 3 times.
I took a picture of the river
Yeah, productive, I think. We put some nitrogen, a little nitrogen on it, or I thought I'd have some, a little nitrogen from the sod credit, I should have some there. But kind of look at the timing, like Mary says, we planted it too early.
Yep.
So
And I probably didn't plant till
So if you have rye, and if you deer, you got wild boar, and then that wire. Like $325 a piece.